Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So, welcome back. It is the 5th of July today for those of us in the U.S. Hopefully you had a happy 4th. But today, let's talk about Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin? Why is it a little bit down today? But also, let's talk about this building demand that's happening right now before its next parabolic move. So let's talk about all these things and more. Let's do this. Welcome, 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 guys. And the market bell has just rung. And right now in the US, we're starting off in the red. And there's a reason for it. Right now, you can see there's actually a lot of red and may go down more. Bitcoin is down slightly. Okay, still holding above 30,000, but yes, down from our recent 31,000. But why is this happening? Well, unfortunately, it may seem like Powell has something to do with it, or at least traders are just antsy about what Powell and his buddies said last FOMC meeting. I mean, at this point in time, these FOMC meetings don't really bring any more information, so I don't know if this is just a coincidence or it's an excuse, okay? But we do have a couple hours to wait until the FOMC meeting minutes gets released, which discusses what was talked behind the scenes, okay? This last FOMC meeting, which, of course, I streamed with you guys. And I think what people are worried about is whether or not, last time we didn't have a rate hike, we had a pause. I think people are worried about whether or not there will be another rate hike this month, at the end of the month, right? We still have like 3 weeks to go, so it's still a whiles off. And then you have a New York president, Fed, that's also speaking. Again, I don't know why any of these presidents need to speak other than Chair Powell himself. He's the one that calls the shots. He's the one that makes the final determination. He should be the only one that's speaking, because a lot of these other Fed presidents do not agree with Powell and have their own opinions on whether or not we need to be more hawkish. And it definitely affects the market. So that's the only thing that's going. People are coming off from the 4th, and now they're thinking, well, let's get ready. Let's get ready for this. So it's really that. Of course, if you're worried about inflation in the U.S., inflation is coming down in a big way. Okay, CPI is now below 4% at 3.85%. Core PCE is a little bit, it's still going down, but a little bit below 5 at 4.62. Of course, the Fed, Chair Powell, does want us to be at 2%. So this is still more than double that. Can we ever get back to 2% inflation? That's going to be very, very tough. Very tough. The one thing that Fed Chair Powell refuses to answer and basically dodges the question, and that is whether or not we need to have better control of our money. And when I say we, the U.S. government. If the U.S. government and Congress continues to print more money, well, inflation is going to continue to go up. It's just that simple. One reporter asked Powell directly whether or not he believes or he has any say on fiscal policy, right, determined by Congress. And he flat out said, no, that's not my job. I'm not going to tell him anything, right? But, I mean, honestly, all the stuff that he's doing is just counteracting the trillions that were printed over the last few years. That's really it. This was brought upon by our government. And it's not just the U.S. A lot of you guys overseas, you know, same thing. Same thing's happening in UK, Eurozone, Canada, Australia, wherever you may be. It's the same thing. Japan, hyperinflation, well, maybe not hyper, but inflation is caused by overprinting and irresponsible spending. Anyways, that's why we have Bitcoin, okay? And that's why so many people are turning to Bitcoin because of these reasons, because they want to opt out. And good thing is, there's more excitement these days. Crypto trading volume is rising for the first time in 3 months. So since, Q1, we really didn't have a whole lot of spot volume. Okay, now it's coming back because of ETF, all the optimism over ETF and BlackRock and everything else. Keep in mind, we're coming off a period when it was scary once again. Coinbase sued, Binance sued, a lot of these exchanges were sued. Kraken was also sued, KuCoin was sued, all these exchanges were sued. So we're coming off a very scary, probably couple months, and then that kind of all went away because of ETF optimism. And I think this is going to happen this year. We will get some spot Bitcoin ETFs. Okay, but we're still early. Even though volume is rising for the first time in 3 months, if you compare our volume versus even 2022, we're so far off. Spot volume is off, derivative volume is off, CME futures is off, nowhere close to previous highs. But the good news is, despite that, Bitcoin is still above $30,000. Okay, so we definitely made moves so far this year. We're recovering. We have entered a new cycle already. We're just not there yet. The parabolic stage that most of you guys are looking for. Okay, it's going to come. But in the meantime, you have a ton of accumulation. In fact, if you look at how much is being hodled right now, 14.5 million Bitcoins out of 19.5. There's only 5 million floating around out there. And I argue it's even less than that because there's only about 2 million on the exchanges. So 3 million, 4 million is probably gone forever. So really, I mean, it's super scarce. And over the last 602 days, there has been 1 million Bitcoin accumulated. 1 million. And guess who started accumulating? MicroStrategy and Tesla and others. Okay, so you have institutions coming in, slowly grabbing all the Bitcoins behind the scenes while we're going through these cycles, right? And we don't want that to happen. We don't want all these big guys to take up all of our Bitcoin. It's really scarce. It's really scarce. But you know what? If you look at people that have been in the space, of course, they're still taking advantage. You look at absorption rate of shrimp, crab, and fish. They're all starting to go up. It's not as high as before, not as high as when Bitcoin had some nasty falls, like around the 15,000 range. A lot of people took advantage. It is starting to climb once again. So it does show that, yeah, there are a lot of you guys that are still, right, not panicking, focused on the future, DCAing. That's the right way to go, right? Right way to go. So glad to see that still happening. What else is going on? Let's see. Bitcoin is no longer correlated to U.S. stocks, crypto, according to sources. You know, this is good, but you know, I argue this is short term. You see this happen a lot. You see Bitcoin kind of decouple away from S&P and NASDAQ, and then sometimes you see it correlate, right? And right now, I think this is happening because of a couple things. This is actually looking at ETH versus a lot of these other indexes. So you look at like gold, DXY, S&P, and then you have ETH. And you can see ETH is slowly climbing, but kind of not correlated with these other indexes. And that's because, you know what? ETH is correlated to Bitcoin. I don't know why they're using ETH and not Bitcoin, but if you show Bitcoin, it's probably just a continue upwards trend. Bitcoin is just a different animal. It's a different beast, right? And of course, it went through some FUD, and now there's optimism, but ultimately, ultimately, okay, why Bitcoin is going to continue to decouple because it's getting bigger, okay? The volume is climbing, fundamentals are getting better, but ultimately because we're really just mimicking previous cycles. This is where we are. It's a little bit hard to see, but the black line is where we are, the current cycle, and then you overlap that on top of some of these previous cycles, okay, like the 2017 cycle and the 2013 cycle, and you can see more or less we have done the same thing. A little bit different, but this is right at the point when in 2017 and 2013, when Bitcoin started its upward trend, right around the same time, right? So this may be a big reason why Bitcoin has decoupled away from markets, because we are finally at that point where it is about to run, when it's going to start going into that parabolic phase, right? So there's many reasons why Bitcoin and crypto overall has decoupled away from traditional markets, because you have the halving event, you have the growing fundamentals, you have the ETF optimism, you have the institutions that's joining and FOMO in. There's so many reasons why, and this is why we're in the game, right? This is why we're in crypto, because when we start moving upwards, it gets very, very, very exciting. Extremely exciting. What else is there? Well, Mustache has this drawn out. Kind of similar to that 2020 COVID crash, although the scenarios are different from that point and right now, but it does look pretty similar. But ultimately, Bitcoin is on the right path. Do not be swayed off the path. Do not be discouraged. I don't think anyone was really discouraged at 30,000 Bitcoin right now, okay, to be honest. But maybe some of you guys are iffy. There's always people in the chat to say, oh, Bitcoin is dumping, when it's really not. And it's one of those things where, hey, sometimes Bitcoin just takes a break. Sometimes crypto takes a break, okay? It's not going to go up forever. Sometimes it retraces a little bit. It's overbought in the shorter time frames. It's okay to come down, okay? But long term, this is what's happening, okay? Everything's going according to plan. Last few things. Polygon makes another partnership with the Indian government, this time to track land. Interesting. I've seen this before. To track land deeds, and basically, you know, when you have a ledger or a blockchain, right? You could use it for all sorts of things, really. But anyways, I'm a big fan of Polygon. They can just continue to move forward. I feel like they are very underrated, and they continue to move forward, so that's good. Pancake Swap. Some of you guys do like Pancake Swap. Use it often. They're the biggest DEX on BNB chain, and they have expanded into EVM territory. They have expanded into ETH, and also now they have expanded into ZK EVM. Okay, and that relates to Polygon. So, I mean, again, Polygon is just absolutely, they're just killing it right now. They have this new ZK EVM. It's kind of like they're something. It's a new chain basically that can scale Ethereum's virtual machine. Okay, that's the easiest way to think about it, and that's pretty exciting. And then lastly, Binance is halting deposit and withdrawal with some multi-chain bridged tokens. Interesting. I don't know exact reason, but there are a few. I think these are just smaller projects that have very low volume, which is why they're doing so. Out of the ones that are being halted, Polka Starter, Alchemy Pay, Superverse, Harvest Finance, Beefy Finance, Alpaca Finance, and Travala and Spell token. They're all like farming. I think these, with the exception of Alchemy Pay and Polkastarter. Polkastarter is like a launch pad. Alchemy Pay is in like the fiat on-ramp, off-ramp stage, type project. Everything else is some kind of like farming project, right? Travala's in the travel industry. I don't know. It's kind of mixed. I don't know. I think these just have low volume. That's really bottom line. It's just low volume. They want to stop it. They will allow you to trade. So, in case you own any of these, that's pretty much it. Outside of those things, I think the market is still waiting. You even see it above stock slide as investor wait Fed meeting minutes. You know, it's kind of silly. I don't think anything is going to be said in the minutes that we didn't hear already during the press conference. But that's just how it is. Markets are finicky at times. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see here. Shannon, good morning. When are we all rich? That's the real question. Only you could decide that. Only you can decide that. Depends on how much you've been accumulating, how much you hodl, which ones you're holding. So only you can make that determination. Is this pre-recorded? Yes, it's pre-recorded. And I knew you were going to ask that question, which is why I'm answering it. Clayton, hello from Tokyo. I don't get a lot of people tuning in from Tokyo. Welcome. So you're bullish on Polygon. Does that mean you're bullish on Matic? Brian, are you just being trollish, or you don't realize that they're the same thing? Why have you stopped DCA into alts? You just buy BTC and ETH on Thursdays. It's Wednesday night, first of all. And no, you are incorrect. I did it like once or twice. So you just don't watch enough. So stop making assumptions. What will happen if XRP wins his case, ETFs are improved, Genzer is fired, and inflation is down to 2%? Ashley, what do you think is going to happen? I think you already know the answer. You just tell me. You tell me. I've been looking at Igon. I don't know how you say it. Cardano, they look like a great project, except you got the symbol wrong. It's actually IAG, not IAM. It's actually pretty easy to remember because IAG is I am George. So I haven't looked into them enough, but I know I've tweeted about them because I noticed on Tap Tools that their volume is exploding. They're in decentralized computing. But they have some kind of AI layered in. I don't quite know. They're very similar. They sound very similar to Flux. But I don't know if there's anything else that's very unique other than the fact that they are on Cardano. But they have been doing quite well recently. They're still they're like a micro cap at this point. Don, I'm glad you could be here. Can Zilliqa and Filecoin do a 10x? Yes. Simple answer is yes to both. Rose K. Hi. Hello. Where's Filecoin at? They've been doing decently. Can Filecoin do a 10x? Yeah, it's possible, but 20 billion is a little far-fetched for Filecoin in this cycle. I'd say they could hit like 10 pretty easily. 20 billion, that may be hard. But Zilliqa, being as small as it is, can, although I don't hear much about Zilliqa. The technology seems to be a little outdated versus other chains. How do I feel about Avalanche? I'm a big fan of Avalanche. I like Avalanche. You know, they're still building out their new subnets. They only have like a handful right now. They're building it out. I think they have potential. They're EVM compatible. They were one of the surprise chains of 2021. Kind of missed them early on. They blew up. And they're still hanging in there. I like them a lot. Tupac or Biggie? I'm not a hardcore rap guy, so I can't say either. Did you see the R-Wave new U token? It's a new token for R-Wave ecosystem without pre-mint. Can only be minted by burning AR. I did not. Why do they need a new token? Because they want to become more decentralized? That's interesting. I'll have to do more research on it, but I've not heard about that. Where do you see Gala? Top bull run. What's the lowest we come down to? Gala will get back to its previous high. Okay, so let's just put it like that. All time, they were above 70 cents. Okay, that's more than 10x. So can they get back up there? Yes. In a bull run, just like this. Okay, just like this. When they were nothing, and then boom, like that. That's what happens in bull runs. So can they get back up there? Yes. But right now, it's not looking very pretty. That's for sure. But I do have one of the main guys from Gala, Jason. I think he goes by Jason Bitbender. He's gonna be at the Vegas event, so I'll have a good chat with him, ask him what's going on with Gala. But right now, you know, NFTs and NFT-based games, play-to-earn games, have been decimated, right? And Gala's very heavy into that, but I still believe they're the biggest gaming platform in crypto, so I don't think they're go away. Yeah, the V2 airdrop thing also hurt them, you know, but especially since Coinbase decided not to support it. So yeah, that probably hurt them too. But overall, they've been play-to-earn games have just been suffering since 2022. What do you think has the bigger upside, Chainlink or Uniswap? If I had to choose, I think Chainlink has, yeah, I think Chainlink has the bigger upside. Uniswap, as big as it is, and being the biggest DEX out there, they have a lot of competition. Like I just talked about PancakeSwap, for example. And various chains have their own swaps, okay? Even DeFi Kingdoms is coming out with their own swap. So there's a lot of swaps. There's a lot of competition. Chainlink, it's kind of like by itself. There's other smaller oracles, but they're not really being used at all. Chainlink is the one that everyone uses. There's really no second best. It's just Chainlink and nothing else. So I like Chainlink better. Although Uniswap is very useful to use, obviously. But yeah. Thoughts on VAI and AI? I don't know what VAI is. AI, I've looked at it. It's okay. It's ahead of its time, I guess. What's VAI? Stablecoin, DeFi, asset-backed stablecoin, relatively small. Oh, Venus. Venus is like, what's the equivalency? Did they rename themselves? Aren't they like just a farming thing? Okay, well that didn't work out well. I think Vi is just a stablecoin of Venus, which is on BNB, which they're like a lending protocol. I have not looked at Venus for a long time. Why doesn't OTC affect Bitcoin price? Seems like it's stupid. OTC is just a transaction between two people. Just keep that in mind. If you buy Bitcoin from your friend and he sells it to you at a big discount, 50% discount, does that get logged anywhere in order books? The answer is no. That's the same thing with OTC. Okay? These OTC markets, basically, it's a transaction where two individuals or parties determine a price and they make the transaction. What you see on CMC is based on order books. So all the orders that people are putting in, right? So that's why OTC does not affect the order books, because it's just two individuals that's doing buying and selling. It's off the order books. That's why it doesn't affect the price. But why it still relates is because there's only so many people doing OTC. There's only so much Bitcoin that's being sold OTC. Eventually, when there is none, then these big boys that want to come in, like BlackRocks of the world, and they can't buy any Bitcoin in OTC, where to go buy it from? From the spot exchanges, which will then affect the order books, right? I mean, any accumulation, any buying where Bitcoin is being removed, okay, from the marketplaces or from the exchanges or overall is net positive. Let's just put it that way. Juan asks, George, when you make millions, how are you supposed to off-ramp that much money? First of all, when you make millions, you don't need to off-ramp that much money because you're fine. And second of all, there's plenty of ways to do so. There's still plenty of places that allow you to do that. But the thing is, when you do make millions in crypto, you don't want to sell it all. You just sell portions that you need to use. That's it. And the rest, you keep in crypto. Which L1 do you think is the easiest and to use? What do you mean easiest? Easiest to program? I'm not a programmer, I can't tell you, or I don't know. I use dApps. I use dApps on top of the chains, which are all pretty easy to use. NMCT. I don't know what you mean by easiest to use. Let's see. Coinbase is down a little bit today. MicroStrategy down a little bit. See, down just a little bit. No need to be panicking. Tesla is still up 280. AMD is up overall. Today's just a slight correction day. And mostly because people are afraid of what comes out in the minutes. It could be nothing burger. Most likely it's going to be a nothing burger, and we could just see a good recovery after that. I mean, I don't know what they're going to say in there. I mean, it's already been said. Paul already said, you know, there may be 2 more rate hikes. We already got that. Unless the minute says, oh, we're going to get 5 more rate hikes or something. Like, I don't know what could be said in the minutes that's going to be so damning that's going to spook the markets even more than what was already said. So I think this is just like, it's just a correction day. That's pretty much it. No, I don't know about GFAL, so can't talk about it. So it'll come out around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Depends on where you are. 2 p.m. Central. Would an OTC be considered a security? No. Well, it is regulated. There are OTC providers or brokers like Coinbase and Gemini, but no. Wall Street memes. I don't even know if that's supposed to be like a meme coin itself or memes in general. I don't know what you mean by that. Osmosis, I don't have anything for or against Osmosis. Any DEX, I just treat it as a tool. If you need to trade Cosmos-based tokens, well, I mean, there's really no Cosmos-based tokens. I take that back. Cosmos-based coins, you use Osmosis, right? Because this is the biggest DEX within Cosmos. That's really it. I don't really know of a second DEX within Cosmos ecosystem. I am a big fan of Cosmos, and there's a lot of great L1 dApps that's coming out of Cosmos. Yeah, I just wish that they do something about Atom tokens, make it more deflationary, make it more usable. Digital Nomad, I don't have any opinions on Cadena at this time. I don't know. I missed out on a lot, and a lot have not been good things I've been hearing. So I'm hoping that there's more. But I'm still supporting them. I still believe in the technology. It has been hard to get a hold of the top guys, Will and Stewart, but I have invited them to my Vegas event too. They said that the co-CEOs won't be able to go, or co-founders, but they'll have some BD guys that may be attending. So I'll get a better understanding of what's going on with them. But there are a lot of projects that are building on top of Cadena, but there needs to be more. I meant quickest L1 to use. Is it Phantom, BNB, and Sol? Again, what is the speed? It doesn't make sense. Are you talking about theoretical speed of L1s? Because there's a lot that can scale, that can be very fast. But are you asking the best, the price potential, like at MCT? You're asking weird questions. And quickest doesn't mean anything. It's all about the user experience, right? Like how many dApps are being used, the volume and so forth. So, again, you got to rephrase your question. Phantom, BNB, and Sol, they're all fantastic chains. They're all very fast. They all have dApps. So I don't know what you are asking. Eric, great. I'm not cranky today. I just don't like answering questions that makes no sense. Singapore is going to ban staking. That may be the reason why Hong Kong is being so bullish now, because they know this is prime opportunity to steal a lot of projects away from Singapore. Because Singapore became like the hub of crypto in Asia. But it seems like now that's moving to Hong Kong. So that may be the reason why China is making it so favorable, you know, for crypto in Hong Kong. Could be the reason. EC, I'll help you out. Since you're out, I'm going to make you out permanently from this channel. All right. How about Solana? I don't hear much about Solana. And totally recently, the last thing I covered about Solana was, and totally made this comment about, or tweet about, how Ethereum could be a L2 of Solana in the future. And I just shut that down because I'm like, that's the silliest thing I ever heard. I don't hear about new dApps moving to Solana. Not very hyped up ones. I don't know. I don't really hear much about Solana. The good thing about not hearing much about Solana is I didn't hear about any other like network outages, because that happened very often in 2022, and even I think happened at least once in 2023. So that's the good thing, I guess. All right, guys, let's conclude. Overall today, markets are down a little bit because the Fed minutes. Bitcoin is down slightly too. But you know what? It's still early. It's very early. There's a lot of accumulation going on right now, and we are here in the cycle. So don't panic. Focus on the future. Continue to hodl and accumulate. And we'll all get there together. The promised land. All right. Have a good one. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.